Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my Fluid Art channel and thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that everybody had a really wonderful Easter. The last couple years for Easter I have painted some paintings that have been a lot more sort of involved and complicated and symbolic, and I loved those and I would have enjoyed doing one this year, but I just didn't have the time. So for a less complicated pour, I'm going to do another raindrop pour, which is a technique that I came up with just a few weeks ago, and I'm going to try to make some Easter eggs. So the raindrop pour uses spice shaker lids. Something with holes, it doesn't have to come from a spice shaker, but that's what I'm using, and a split cup. And so you pour your colors through it in order to make multicolored drip spots anywhere you want it in the painting. And so I'm going to use that to make some Easter eggs, and the last one I did turned out pretty cool, but I tilted it to stretch it, and today I want to try spinning to see whether that helps those drip spots stretch in a more uniform way. So my paint is still mixed to a medium thin consistency, meaning it makes a soft mound. It flows nicely. It's not super thin, it's not super thick. I might like to try this with a much thicker paint as well to see how that works, but it's still medium thin today, but going to see how the spinning affects it. So for an Easter egg inspired pour, I'm going to have a background that's sort of green like the grass, but it's going to be a multicolored green, and I'm going to swipe that. So it'll be patterned in some way. I don't know exactly how it'll look, whether it'll be lots of contrast or just kind of a soft swirled green background. And then I have kind of two sets of colors. I've got my cooler colors and my warmer colors, and there will be some white in those as well. And so two different split cups for my two sets of colors, and then I'll try to make some Easter eggs and stretch those out. So I think this will be fun. Come along with me. Let's make a painting. I'm going to start by taping my canvas to the spinner so that as I spin it, there's no chance of it flying off. And my paints are all mixed with Floetrol. So it's generally about 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. And then I add water until it gets to that medium thin consistency. And if you don't know what I mean by a medium thin consistency, check the link that's down in the video description, and you will see a video where I talk all about paint consistency, how you check it, how you feel it and look at it, and which paint consistency is best for different types of pours. All right, let's put this on. There we go. Now, let's start making this background. So I know I want a fair amount of white because I don't want it to be a really bright green. And I also want to make it, oops, that's more white than I meant to put. Let me pick some of that up because I need white for both of my color flows. Whoops, I'm not used to having to save color. Anyway, what I was saying was I want to have a pretty thick puddle of color in the middle. It's not exactly a pillow because this isn't a bloom pour, but it's going to kind of behave like a pillow because I want to make my background design and keep it centered, do my drips on it, and then stretch the whole thing. A lot of these colors, actually almost all of them, are leftover paints, so I don't know all of the colors exactly, but I like this nice sort of medium green. I think that'll mix well with the white in order to make a lighter green. Then I also have this pale green. This was from my Northern Lights paintings. Almost a mint green, but not quite blue enough. And then I have a metallic dark green, which earlier today was looking like it might have some lumps in it. So hopefully I don't regret putting that in. But I think it'll add some nice shimmer to this background. I can't tell if that's enough paint. Let me add a little bit more, because I have a lot of this green. Okay. So now I'm going to swipe it, and I'm just going to kind of play around with it. I don't mind if it gets fairly blended, because I don't want lots of pattern in the background. I want the star of the show to be these eggs. Oh, that's gorgeous. I actually really like that. It's not too dark, it's not too light, it's just gently textured. We got some cell reaction from the metallics, so I like that. All right, let me get this centered. And also, there is something here. Did I get it? Yeah. There was a piece of dried paint. Okay. Cool! I really like that background. I like the sort of diagonal crisscrossing swipes. It's almost like rolling hills. Okay, so let me slide this out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing as I'm filling these cups. So I have 5 of the warmer colors and then 4 of the cooler colors. So white is going to go in both. I'm going to put the white in the middle of this one and put it here, because I want there to be brightness in the Easter eggs. Don't want it to be solid color, especially on a green background. You have to have something bright, otherwise it's going to feel heavy. Okay, so I don't have tons of my colors, but I also am not going to need tons of it. Just want them to be fairly even in the split cup. Oh man, that one has so many lumps. That pink. Not sure if that's a good idea. I was just watching them pour in. And it's the kind of thing that might not be a big deal, but it also might be a big deal. It's going to leave some kind of texture in the finished piece, whether it's a big problem or not. Let me see if I can scoop out some of the worst and put them back in this cup, and then I may just have to throw away the rest of this paint if I can't get the lumps out of it. Okay, I think that's looking all right. Need a little bit more of the orange if I can scrape it out of there. This is a nice metallic orange from a mica pigment. So if you don't know how to mix mica pigments for regular acrylic pours, check the link that's down in the video description and I'll show you how I do it. Alright, so I have my warm colors. Now it's time for the cool. We'll put this metallic teal right here. That one's a little lumpy too. That's what you get for using leftover cups of paint. Alright, I'll just see if I can find most of the lumps and pull them out. Not seeing too many more in there, so I think we're going to be okay. And then some bright aqua green over here. So we've got 2 cups, and we have our lovely background. So now I need to figure out, do I use the spice lid that has the larger holes or the smaller holes? The last time I did this, I used the smaller holes and it worked fine, but I do wonder whether the bigger holes is going to give a different look. So I'm going to be bold and start with the bigger holes with these cool colors. So I'm just going to pour a small flow right into this and let it drip out slowly. If you let it go out too fast, it's going to make a stream. You want it to make drips. Don't have any white yet. And I want to keep most of the drips towards the center. So that we can stretch it out and those middle ones can have the best chance of growing. Oh, that was a pretty drip. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. That's looking great. There was one drip where I moved the thing as it was dripping, and it's made this line. So I want to see... I don't want to lose all of my background pattern there. I don't know that I just made it any better, but it'll be okay. Alright, before I get too far, let me try and do some of the warm colors through the smaller one. I think I'll be able to pour faster because there's more holes, and then the weight of the paint will be able to make the drip spots. Well, here's the white. All the white that I was missing in the other cup. I don't know why I'm just pouring it right here. It's not the best idea. It's still all white. We don't have enough of this metallic magenta, so I'm going to just add some in directly to the top and see if it can drip on through. Just spreading a few further out, just in case those do still end up as part of the design. Okay, I'm going to stop. So I don't know how much you can see from where the camera is. Some of those drips got a little bit messy. The problem with a background that has a design is you can't just lift out a messy section because you remove your background. So I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of these little tails that I've got, but still keep that beautiful swiped background. It seems like actually using the tiny palette knife to almost cut it at the edge, it turns it into a circle and a little extra thing, which can then be minimized more easily. It's interesting, these white ones, the ones with the smaller holes, actually kind of made larger drips than the ones from the first go. So I'm going to go rinse off this one with the smaller holes and use it again to make a few more of the blue and green eggs, and then we'll stretch it out. Okay, let's pour a few more of these cool colored eggs. Okay, that's probably enough. I don't want to entirely overwhelm the green grass background with these eggs. Before I begin stretching, I want to put a little bit of flow paint around the edge. Not that I really want this color to remain, but by making the canvas sort of wet with paint before you stretch out your paint, it's going to help the rest of this paint to glide across instead of folding under itself and getting lost. And I'm getting these corners also because those are difficult to cover so that the rest will flow and slide over it. Okay, I do not know how this is going to turn out. I hope I have enough paint that it'll spread and cover the whole thing, but let's go ahead and give it a go. Ooh, that's cool. So we have mostly covered. Obviously there's a few corners that haven't gotten covered yet. These eggs are holding pretty pretty much their shape. Some of them are stretching a little bit. Let me spin it again to try to get these edges covered a little bit better. Okay, it's just about. There's like a couple little corners which I think are going to be easier for me to just cover up with my fingers probably. At least for now, just to make sure they're the right color. Okay, so it's mostly covered. Let me take a look at these raindrop drips. First of all, I have a lump in the paint up here. Let me get that out. Okay, so I did have a lot of them kind of go out of shape, and I think that's because my paints were still kind of on the thin side. And I think some of it is probably how they dripped onto the canvas, if they had a little tail or not. So I'm just going to see what I can do to minimize those tails right here. But I know there's some things that I'm not going to be able to do. Okay, I think I have those mostly shaped back to kind of round. I'm going to spin it one more time just to help get anything extra off the corners, and then I'll take you in for a close-up. Okay, that is a little bit crazy. I don't know that I would look at this and say, oh yes, of course it's an Easter egg hunt. But it's kind of a fun little experiment, so it's cool. Let me give you a close-up. Okay, so here it is, and it is very interesting. Definitely spinning helped sort of the energy of these cells all go in an outwards direction. And the ones that are closer to the edges did become more egg-shaped, whereas the ones in the middle stayed more circular. But even the background flow, you know, it didn't keep a really perfect design. It kind of got soft and wavy. So this whole thing is a little bit of a mess, but it is a fun mess. And I still want to try this raindrop technique with more of a bloom consistency paint. I'm thinking like Molly's pouring medium of the Floetrol and gloss medium, because that makes just a luscious kind of thick mixed paint. And I feel like the thicker paint might help these drip spots keep their shape better. So you haven't seen the last of this technique, but yeah, this Easter egg hunt, not sure it was a success. Let me show you how it looks when it's dry. Okay, here it is dry. So this one is a little bit wacky. Now that it's dry, we can see some of the metallic green in the background, which is cool. Though the metallics in the actual drip spots are not showing up quite as well as I would have liked. We can see a bit of the metallic magenta, there's a bit of the metallic teal in some of them, but it's not really prominent metallics. Oh well. So I've been looking at this and I can't tell whether these remind me more of Easter eggs or jelly beans. Either way, it's kind of a fun, springy design. So I'm thinking about these small drip spots, especially in the middle, and I wonder whether one of the reasons they ended up small is because I dripped them from too high up. Because if I held my spice shaker lid too close to the paint, then as those spots came out, they might sink down in the paint more instead of just kind of sitting and floating on top. So I do wonder why that's the reason why there are some that are larger and some that are smaller, and maybe something for you to think about if you try this yourself. Thank you for joining me for this Easter egg raindrop pour video. I hope it inspired you to try something new, or at least serve as a reminder that not every idea we have in our heads turns out exactly the way we were picturing, and that that's perfectly okay. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye guys!